What's up, good people and Eagle fans? Mark Holmes here, and as always, I appreciate you guys. I'm on the road, of course, as always, trying to get her done, man. I got so much shit going on, it's kind of crazy. What you see in here that's kind of rattling a little bit is 19-foot-long sections of round gutter. Yeah, round gutter. We're going to be putting this on the red brick house on the very top up there, and things. My wife calls it eyelashes. We got to get the eyelashes on the red brick house. So it's like, yeah, okay. The honey-do list never ends. On top of it, yesterday I got myself a new gaming computer, okay? Because we are always here trying to bring you better and better content and upgrade and make sure that we can be there getting the news for you guys on the Dallas Cowboys, which is never ending, okay? Never ending. One thing, started getting the computer set up yesterday, and it kept getting the blue screen of death. I know you've seen that where the system crashes and then it says we're collecting information to put out a report. I've never gotten a response back on the report. This shit just keeps crashing. So I talked to the computer store and stuff. They said, oh, that's very rare. Bring it back. We'll go ahead and exchange it for another one. You got 15 days if you want a full refund and so on. So I've got that bad boy right here. I'm going to take it to the red brick house and try and see if I can set it up. If it works well and everything else, then I'll take it back to the man cave for next week, starting out with the new games that we'll be watching starting next Thursday. Oh my God, we're a week away. So I'm excited. I am truly excited about this season. And I actually feel like the Cowboys, you know, they've got questions like everybody. They've got questions like everybody. But they're focusing on the Cowboys, and they're making you believe that the Dallas Cowboys are literally the worst team in the NFL. They point out how the Cowboys have spent less money this offseason than anybody else, and they're going to be terrible. But that's every season. So the thing that's comical to me is how they go through on the rants and they tell you how this is the worst thing in the world. They don't know what they're doing, and so on, yada, yada, yada. Now, let's get to Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, because now the bandwagon is Dak Prescott with all the leverage that he has. It's all about getting as much money as possible, and maybe it may be. But here's where I've got to crawl bullshit on most of the publications out there that are constantly talking about Dak Prescott, the Dallas Cowboys, and everything else. Because here's where it's crazy. When I first got up this morning, got my coffee, I saw that Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns have restructured his contract, freeing up $35 million this year. Now, a misnomer is when a player restructures their contract, a lot of people think, oh, they're a team-friendly guy. They gave money back. No, Deshaun Watson didn't give money back. He still due $190 million guaranteed dollars still 3 years after signing his contract of a fully $230 million. What you understand, Dak Prescott's last contract wasn't even half of that. He had 160. So now, and I'm surprised that nobody has jumped on this bandwagon yet. Maybe it's a little soon. But Dak Prescott now has the highest cap number this year than anybody has had before at $55 million. Now, Dak Prescott was number 2 because Deshaun Watson, believe it or not, was $63 million. Here's what's crazy. Okay. So the Cleveland Browns created some cap space right now. Do you know what his cap number is for next year and the year after? Because this is the 3rd year in a row that they've restructured Deshaun Watson's contract. Restructuring it is accounting. It's just, we're just changing where we're putting the money. It's still the same money, except on the cap. His cap number next year is almost $73 million fully guaranteed. And that is the next 2 years after this year. So as we sit here and we talk about how much the Cowboys have paid Dak Prescott and how much it's going to kill the team, take a look at what's happened with the Cleveland Browns. Nobody's talking about what Deshaun Watson has cost the Cleveland Browns. And mind you, in the 2 years that he's been playing for the Cleveland Browns, he's played a total of 12 games and had 14 TDs with 9 interceptions. But we look here and we say, oh my God, you can't pay Dak. A $60 million contract, that's crazy. You can't pay a quarterback like that. Okay. I hear what you're saying. But we have a quarterback that next year is going to be $72 million. Now, the Cowboys can sign Dak today, tomorrow, next week, next month, or even next year at $60 million and still not be what Deshaun Watson's number will be next year. And basically, they can't cut him. They made that deal. The thing is, if you are the Cowboys, and I hear people that say it's Dak Prescott's fault, the brother just can't win in the playoffs, that maybe that's true. Maybe that's true. But I dare say it's more of a systemic problem that the Dallas Cowboys have had for the last 30 years. For whatever reason, we have not been able to get over the hump. Now here's where I will look and I will call bullshit when we point to just Dak Prescott. I was listening to First Take where Stephen A. Smith is like, the brother can't win. The brother, he sucks and all that. The same guy that said you got to get rid of Dak Prescott because he's not going to win a Super Bowl there. Yesterday, we're going on about Jerry Jones saying that he is the best GM to do the job. That they were literally killing him and saying, you suck as GM. You don't get into free agency. You don't build a team. You don't help your organization. It's more about having the conversation and being the most visible team than it is winning. If you say all of that, that Jerry Jones sucks at GM, and mind you, I will say, they didn't spend 3 number ones and 3 seconds or however many it was to draft Trey Lance and go out and get all of these other players and fail at getting the Super Bowl victory last year. Because you got guys out there that are doing a whole hell of a lot that ain't winning Super Bowls either. And mind you, San Francisco, I will remind you that the Cowboys have won a Super Bowl in more recent history than you guys. So you can't go around and say Jerry Jones is a problem because of his ineptitude on signing the contracts and keeping the talent in Dallas. Because when I look at the Dallas Cowboys, let's just say free agency. Since 2020, we have lost, well, literally gave away Amari Cooper, a Cedric Wilson, a Tyron Smith, a Connor McGovern, a Connor Williams, a Randy Gregory, right? A Dante Fowler, a Dorrance Armstrong, among others. What have the Cowboys done to replace those guys and bring in more talent? What free agent signings do you look at and say, wow, this is going to make the Cowboys the best wide receiver core? Biggest one you have to say is you brought in Stephon Gilmore for 1 year. Former defensive MVP, past his prime, with having had injuries. And you brought in Brandon Cooks. You don't look at this and say, the Cowboys, free agency-wise, like other teams are doing, have done a lot of stuff to go all in, like, say, an Eagles team that's constantly trying to upgrade their roster. It's not like a San Francisco 49er team that constantly are trying to upgrade their roster. So if you look at this and you trash Jerry Jones and say that he's not the great GM, you can't turn around and say them not winning the Super Bowl is Dak Prescott's fault. So either Jerry Jones is a great GM who has a failure at quarterback, or you have Jerry and Stephen Jones that are failure at being GMs, and it's not the quarterback's fault. Not on a team. You can't have it both ways. When you have a team that has been 12-5 and in the playoffs the last 3 years, can't have it both ways. So which is it? Or is it a little bit of both? I don't know. But regardless, the reality is Dak does have a lot of leverage. And if Dak Prescott decides, I'm going to sign a deal with the Cowboys, then you definitely say he gave up that power because he is actually a team guy, even if it is record-breaking right now. Because, people, there aren't quarterbacks out there. They're just not. And there's no guarantee at all about drafting a guy. Look at some of the number one picks and first-round picks that have literally bombed. About 75% of them, of the number one first-round draft picks, will never be productive NFL quarterbacks. They just aren't. So you've got a guy who's really pretty good. That's the hardest thing to fill. What if the Cowboys decide, let's go ahead and let's surround him with more talent, like the 49ers, like the Tampa Bay, like the Rams, like the Eagles, and maybe, just maybe, they'd have a different result. All right, good people. I'll see you down the road. Peace.